and I'll guide you through. So I'll give you some suggestion on the way. Now, organize yourself, a comfortable sitting place, on a chair, on a mat, on a stool. You want to keep your spine erect, not straight. Our spine is not straight. Our spine has curvatures, pardon, and so we need to respect those curvatures. So this idea of having a stick in your back is not exactly what we're looking for, but we want it to be erect. So I remind you that you can also pose and post some questions in the Q&A box on your screen at the bottom. And if I will not be able to answer for time reason to your questions, please forward them to the Italian Institute of Culture, and I will make sure you will get an answer. Now, what are we going to do? Okay, we start with a general overview on creative thinking and learning, an exploration of neuroscience studies and brain plasticity, and of course, a guided experience of relaxation. Plus, we're going to have some tips on how to use the practice. Now, I want to pose your question. Are you a creative person? Just ask yourself this question and try to give yourself an answer which is not an automatic answer. I mean, instead of going, no, I'm not a creative, oh yes, I'm definitely creative. Just think for a moment. Am I really a creative person? What is creativity? How do I manifest my creativity? Think for a moment and give yourself an answer. Now, Pablo Picasso gives us a very strong statement. Every child is an artist. The problem is staying an artist when you grow up. Now, this is definitely make us think that perhaps we all are born with a potential, and this potential perhaps gets lost. It's not nourished, it's not valued. So there are conditions for the creative potential that we all have that can foster it or not. Now, Michalko is an American expert in creativity. He says that each one of us is unique and a spontaneous creative thinker. So the only difference between people who are creative and people who are not is a simple belief. Creative people believe they are creative, and people who believe they're not creative. Now, with Guy Claxton, a UK leading expert in education, he is very famous for his bestseller, Building Learning Power. He wrote more than 20 books, so extremely creative in himself. So creativity is an advanced form of learning that involves a finely tuned symphony orchestra of mental attitudes and capabilities playing together in a complicated rhythm. Now, there are the main aspects that he's pointing out are looking and observing. So we need to develop their ability. Actually, yes, we need to develop their ability to look and observe, but this has been observed in creative people. So they usually are people that are able to look around and observe and also reflect and reason on things, investigate. Imitation plays a big role as well, and intuition. So sometimes the non-rational aspect is guiding us and gives us some intuition, in fact. Imagination comes along. And interaction and exchange with others is an important element too. And inquisitiveness is definitely an aspect that it's relevant. With Sternberg from Stanford University, he's a PhD from Stanford University, creativity as a combination of innate abilities that the individual's awareness decide how to use. And I'd like to underline this, decide how to use it. So if we believe and start from the point that we all have that potential, if we can realize that we do have that potential, then we need to decide how to use it. And again, Sternberg, as Claxton, is pointing out a number of elements that are definitely defining a creative mind. So logical, is a logical mind, metaphorical thinking, so the ability to think in metaphors, independence of judgment, so also the capacity to develop an idea of things independently, apart from what everybody else is telling us, to, in fact, make a judgment on things, questioning, asking questions. And tolerance for ambiguity is a very good one. So yes, we need to be tolerant and accept ambiguity as an element that can open up different scenarios for us in terms of creativity, curiosity, obviously, and openness to new experiences, being courageous and in somehow grab the challenges, tendency to play with ideas. So that keenness of playing with new ideas. Now, Kaufman and Baghetto, they come later. Now Stenberg again. Stenberg is definitely telling us that creativity can be taught. Why? Because the nature of creativity is rooted in the process of critical thinking, which can be learned. So what are the characteristics of critical thinking? Believing in oneself and identifying your own passion, analyzing your own ideas and persuading others about them, so having the ability to share your ideas and also, persuading others, overcoming obstacles along with being able to take risks. They overlap with with some of the characteristics we looked at before, just in the previous slide. Now, this is what I was referring to. Kaufman and Baghetto, they did a model of 4 C's. The main ones are 2, the big C and the little c. So not all of us. Yes.
We can't see your slides, so you need to share them again.
Oh, okay. Right. So I can't see myself actually. Right. Where did you go up to?
So we're up to where you're if you talk, like we haven't seen them for a little bit, but if you put them up now.
Okay. Okay. So, wait a minute. I have to go back to here and share screen. So share screen, and there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Technical issues. Right. I can't see myself, but doesn't matter. It's not important. I only see the logo of the institute. Now, can you see? Give me a sign, Kylie. Can you see?
We can now see big C and little c.
All right.
We can see you too, and you look great.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, so the big C and the little c are part of a model of 4 C's defined by Kaufman and Baghetto, another couple of scholars, very relevant. Now, of course, not all of us can be referred as big C as Albert Einstein or Amadeus Mozart, but we're all capable of little C's act in everyday or ordinary creativity. And I'm sure we all have that particular niche or aspect where we excel in terms of creativity. So what conditions influence different degrees of creativity? Because that's what we're talking about, different degrees of creativity. So the historical, economical, personal, social conditions are definitely have a very strong impact. Of course, the family, the genetic, the environment, and the luck. Sometimes, well, we do need a little bit of luck. Now, all those conditions are definitely playing a big role in how that innate, that potential that we all have can develop. All right, now it's time to answer on Mentimeter to this question. How do you feel right now? Now, I suggest you to stay on, when you get there on your phone, on Mentimeter, and because we go back there later on. So we're going to do a number of things together, and then we'll pose the question again. So, yeah, if you want to access This is the code 1126097, and you can choose, and I think there are 5. The numbers are 5, so you can decide how do you feel right now in this very moment. If you would decide to understand, and what is your feeling at the moment? How calm do you feel, and how tense do you feel? Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, I can see few numbers coming in, and you probably see that with me as well. All right, there's some tension there, but quite a lot of people are getting into the calm area, which is very, very pleasant to see. And we're going to try to rise that level with a number of things we're going to do together. So as soon as Kylie is going to tell me what is the moment to get back.
So we'll just give people a little bit more time.
Yes, let's give some more time. And yes, post your, oh, look, it's going down a little bit. That's interesting. That's, yes, the curve is changing as soon as someone is giving us their idea. So 2.7 seems to be halfway. Okay. And, oh, look at that. Interesting. All right. So we got a 2 and a 3.3. Not too bad. Okay. So do you think we can leave it now? We give some more time. Perhaps more people wants to join in and let us know how they feel, deciding what kind of degree do they feel now in terms of being calm or in terms of being tense. It's interesting to see that if you're calm, you cannot be tense. So, and if you're tense, it's difficult to be calm. So you can still adjust your answer if you want to, and make sure you assess yourself. So ask yourself really, how do I find out if I'm tense? What are the things that tell me when I'm tense? And what are the things that tell me when I'm calm? Yes? So you can check your heartbeat, your hands, if they're sweaty or not, your concentration level, your breathing. Okay. Kylie, I think we got to a good response.
And people can still continue to put it in afterwards if they
Good.
want.
So if you
stay active, I put it in the chat so people can see how to access it through the chat if they want.
Beautiful. Okay, so you can still put it in. Now, after one stage, of course, you're gonna have to leave that, because we are going to go through the, oh dear, lost my PowerPoint here. Okay, let me open it again. All right. So I'll be there in a second. So yes, if you are still trying to give your level of calmness or tension, please keep doing it while this is opening for me. There you are. Okay, and oh dear. Okay, nice. Nearly there. Be patient. We're gonna make it. There you are. Share screen. Okay, share. I feel like I'm teaching a lesson without seeing the students. I miss them. Okay, so am I sharing? Can you give me a sign?
Yep, you're sharing. We just have to make it a bit more central. Yep, when you do play. Okay,
all right.
Yep.
Okay, so we've done that, and now please, that's a promise, we're going to yawn together. So it's good for you, and guess what? It's legal. You can yawn as much as you want. And you know what the yawn reflexes tells our brain it's time to let go, it's time to relax. It's an interaction between unconscious brain and the body. Now we have the Dalai Lama, beautiful newborn baby, and a nice lady showing us, and you know, yawning is contagious. So please try to simulate a yawn, and you know, you can master that ability, and it's going to be extremely useful. So how can you yawn when, how can you induce a yawn with your will? So try to, with a single deep inhalation, with your mouth open, the tongue retract a little bit, try to stretch and okay, so perhaps the next one is going to be more successful. Now, feel your sitting bones. I'm going to ask you to check your position. You can sit on a chair, on a stool, crossed legs, on your knees. But your idea, what you want, is to have your spine erect. Now, the sitting bones are those red things that you see and you can feel when you're sitting. You know, children are sitting properly, naturally, without us telling them how to do it. But that's almost the idea. So find the time and the space and whatever you need, pillows or a right chair, where you can sit and feel that your spine is erect. Your head is on top of it and you can breathe comfortably. Okay, so breathe, breathe. So close your eyes and listen to your breath. Do not change your breathing, just become aware of it. So you're there, you're sensing something is moving. What is it moving exactly? Sense your rib cage. There is something that comes up and goes down that allows the breathing to happen. Relax your shoulders, relax your hips. Make sure your tongue is open. And just observe how the air is going in and how it's going out. Do you have that awareness? Okay. And now, if you still have your eyes closed, please, you can open them. I'm going to go through a couple of things with you. Now, the nose, it's a very important part of our body that is unfortunately a little bit undervalued, but is extremely important because we have, oh, I've got my thing here happening here. Good. I can point. Now, you can see here, there is the olfactory bulb, and those are actually nervous cells dangling down from our brain. Can you imagine that? This is the only place in our body where nervous cells are exposed to the world. Now, the conche, this word comes from the Italian word conchiglia, and in fact, it resembles, the nasal cavity resembles a shell. There are these 4 grooves-like air passages that are responsible for forcing inhaled air to flow in a steady, regular pattern around the largest possible surface area of ciliated nasal mucosa. Why is that important? Because the nasal mucosa is also filled with neurons and sends signals to the olfactory bulb, which then goes to different areas related to thinking and memory. So remember that the olfact is the most ancient sense we have, and is guiding us at all different levels for reproduction, in sexual endeavor, for smelling odors around us and recognizing as others so dangerous situations. So the axon derived from the olfactory receptors from up here, the neurons in the olfactory mucosa, are in a varying stage of maturity, so different level of maturity, reflecting the constant turnover of neurons in the olfactory epithelium. What does it tell us this? That the neurons are keep regenerating themselves into this area. So very important to keep the area clean and efficient. Of course, there are problems that, you know, sinus and all that, I understand, but don't undervalue the potential of the change you could experiment, you could experience through using your nose properly. Now in yoga we have a technique called jala neti. We use a pot, the neti pot. In the within the system of yoga, there are 6 main shat karma, which are techniques for cleansing, and this is one of them. Very important, fantastic to learn. And there are lots of other things we can learn about breathing through the pranayama techniques. Okay, let's go forward a little bit and look at the lungs. Now, we have 2 pair of lungs, the right and the left. On the left side, we only have 2 lobes, and on the right side, we have 3 lobes. Now, my teacher, Swami Gitananda Giri, used to say that the 3rd lobe that we used to have in the left lung, it has been atrophied, because from the position on 4, we came up on 2, and the relationship with the gravity force has pushed the heart against that area of the left lung, and so one of the lobes has atrophied. That's Gitananda Giri, was a medical doctor, was a cardiologist, in fact, cardiologist. Now, of course, bronchial tubes. Now, this is just for you to keep an image of what your lungs could look like. Of course, it's a drawer, so it's not exactly what it is, but it can give you an idea that through the trachea, we have the division of the 2 bronchial tubes that subdivide in very, very many little bronchioles. And what's happening in the lungs is actually the ventilation. The actual breathing happens at the level of the cellular level. So when we exchange gases in the bloodstream, and you can see the capillaries up there on the right-hand side, so the pulmonary artery and the alveolar atrium. So there is an exchange between carbon dioxide and oxygen. This is happening all the time while we're breathing, so we are in a magical system. Now, when we started to breathe, I asked you to notice what was moving. So you probably felt the rib cage expanding and contracting, but you also felt something going up and down. Now that's the diaphragm. It's shaped like a parachute, and it's like a dome. It moves like a bellow. In fact, in yoga, we do have a bellow breath, which is producing the same sound as a bellow. Now, I want you to keep that image in your mind of the diaphragm that when we breathe out is actually relaxing. So it comes up like a dome and is pushing the lungs along with the intracostal muscles, of course, that is creating the exhalation. But what I want you to connect with is that idea that when you breathe out, your diaphragm is relaxing and is expanding. So the more you breathe out, the more you allow your diaphragm to relax. And the more the exhalation is complete, the more the inhalation will be powerful. Now, let's go back and yawn again. Why is it so contagious? So try to yawn. So inhale through your mouth, direct the air through towards the back of your palate. So if I so try to keep your mouth open and feel the freshness of the air on the top at the palate, and retract your tongue a little bit. Now try to look at those images, so maybe they can actually inspire you. Now, it is so contagious. Yes, it is contagious. Maybe it's a biological empathy mechanism or a resetting reflex, but definitely is a resetting moment for us. When do we yawn? When we go to bed, keep trying yawning, keep trying yawning. When we wake up, when we are bored, my mom used to say, when you yawn is because hai fame, hai sonno o sei annoiato. So you are hungry, you are tired, or you are bored, in fact. And it is a resetting mechanism. Now we need to learn to yawn at command, and you can master that. Now please find your sitting bones again, find the ground. What do I mean when I say find the ground? If you're sitting on a chair, please have your feet in touch with the floor. Don't have your legs dangling down there, yeah? They have to be firmly on the floor. So adjust the position if you are on a chair that doesn't allow you to have your feet on the floor. This is going to make you sense your sitting bones, and all of that is to create the right scaffolding of your skeleton to actually allow your functioning properly. So you're breathing mainly. So breathe. The word breathe comes from breath, and the breath comes from an old English smell and scent. And I wanted to give you a little bit of a suggestion here. When you breathe, try to recall the smell of an odor or a perfume that you really like the smell of roses, the fragrance of frangipani, the woody intensity of sandalwood, for instance, which I love in particular, the minty freshness of pine, and maybe the scent of citrus in bergamot, which is the top note in most of the perfumes. So please close your eyes and listen to your breath. Keep your eyes closed or open if you want. You can experience both for this stage. And now let's breathe together. So breathe out first, empty your lungs. And now breathe in, and in your mind, stay with me with the count. So breathe in. I'm going to say Om instead of 100, but if Om is not a familiar word for you or has a reference that doesn't really agree with you, please use the 101, 102. So inhale. Inhale for Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, and hold the breath. Hold. Now breathe out. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4. Stay empty. Stay empty. And now breathe in again. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4. Hold. Hold. Breathe out. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, and stay empty. Stay empty. And once more, breathe in Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, and hold. Hold. Breathe out. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4. Stay empty. Enjoy the emptiness. And again, breathe in last one. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, and stay. Hold. Breathe out. Om 1, Om 2, Om 3, Om 4, and hold. Om 1, Om 2, and leave it. Okay, let's come back. Sorry. So, learning. What's learning? Learning is forging new connections in the brain. It's an act of creativity. So, cells that fire together, wire together. You probably heard this sentence a number of times. What does that mean exactly? Now, the passage of information in a new connection, it goes through the axon. You can look at the image here. You can see the presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron. And between the two, there is the axon that reaches for the postsynaptic neuron. And the dendrites are actually those little roots or little hands that reach out. Now, the dendrite and the postsynaptic neuron needs to be excited enough to get that connection happening. Yeah. So once this is happening, because it doesn't happen all the time. So once this is happening, And this is the fire. So once the two neurons fire together, before they actually wire together, before they create a connection that is stable and is there, it needs time, it needs repetition, it needs to be done a number of times. And then for the sake of autonomy, for the sake of functionality, and you know, our body is extremely clever in that sense. So it doesn't want to waste energy. So if there is a repetition happening in a connection, this is going to stay. And it's going to be reinforced the more and more we repeat the same act. Now, I want to share with you what Alan McFarlane, a scholar of Oxford and Cambridge since the late 60s, has shared in a number of interviews. He's also been a very prolific writer. So the creative work is to connect two unconnected things, which is also the definition of Cambridge PhD. And this is exactly what we just saw in terms of the two neurons firing. Now, Alan McFarlane, he said he goes regularly for his walks in the garden near Cambridge. And the way he describes these walks are quite interesting. The gateway to his subconscious, and to his creativity. That's how he defines them. Now, creativity cannot be trained in a simple mechanical sense of the word. It can be cultivated, coached even, but it can't be engineered, let alone taught. So is there a contradiction? No, it's not a contradiction at all, because Claxton is actually talking about a different way of learning, a different way of teaching. So we're talking about subtle aspects, elusive, fleeting, ethereal, like it is the creative act. Now, we can create the conditions for the creative moment to manifest. We need something at the deeper level, from conscious, concentrated, active work to relaxed state. And McFarlane specifies that this process needs to be repeated again and again, concentrating and relaxing like a rubber band. And remember, cells that fire together wire together. And again, let's go back to our yawn. So it forces a deep, complete in and outgoing breath. So what is it? It's activating the lungs, it's activating the diaphragm actually, and the intercostal ribs, intercostal muscles in the ribs. Now inhale through your mouth, retract your tongue, direct the air towards the back and the top of the palate, and allow the muscles of the jaw and the trunk to stretch. Go for it, at least 2 or 3 times. Very important to master this ability. It's going to be so useful. Okay, now we're going to breathe again. But before you close your eyes, I want you to make sure that you have your feet flat on the floor. You find your ground, feel your sitting bones, keep your spine erect, and take this image with you. So the diaphragm is like a dome shape. When you relax it, it goes up, and it contracts when you breathe in. So breathing out means letting go. Breathing in means taking lots of oxygen, but only if the breathing out is happened properly. Now please close your eyes, follow your breath. And try to have that spatial visualization of what moves while you're breathing in. So you feel the air in. Where does it find the space? Where does it go? Which part of your lungs is more active? You feel it more in the low part, in the mid part, in the upper part, you know, under your clavicular, your collarbone. You have the peaks of your lungs up there, and you feel it in the back and on the side. So keep breathing. Now please keep your eyes closed and look up at the root of your nose. Between your eyebrows, in Agya Chakra, keep your tongue soft. Stay with the attention up there. And now breathe with me. First, empty your lungs once. And then breathe in on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5, 6, and hold for 1, for 2, and for 3. Now breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold, hold, hold. Once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold in for 3, for 2, for 1. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. Enjoy the emptiness. 2, 1. Again, breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold, hold, hold. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold, hold, hold. Once more. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold for 3, for 2, for 1. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold. 1, 2, 3. Try to do 1 round on your own. Count in your mind. If the count of 6 is too long, use another count. Go down a little bit. Don't force. It should not be a forced incoming and outgoing breath. It should be very comfortable. So if 6 is a too long count, go for 4. And hold for 2, obviously. So keep going with your breathing. And when you had enough, you can still stay there with your eyes closed, enjoying that sensation, or you can just open your eyes. And I'm going to share with you an ancient legend from the Hindu-Buddhist oral tradition that recounts a meeting called by Indra, the god of the gods, the ruler of the heavens, and the god of the thunder and war. And Indra represents the potential both for creation and destruction that every storm has. Indra reminds us that we carry a storm within ourselves, one which can both set us free or harm us. Now, once in the golden era, men lived in harmony and happiness and possessed similar powers as those of the gods. But a time came when something happened. The gods observed that the harmony was in danger for a cracking social balance. We know about this stuff, yeah? So they decided to hide from men their own powers. All gods met and established where to hide those powers from men. And some of the gods proposed to hide them into the depths of the sea. Some proposed to hide them in the highest peaks of the mountains. But every time Indra said that man would reach all these places and more. So it was decided that the only place where man would not search was inside himself, deep in his heart. Okay, so Indra suggests to look inward and not outward to find those powers. And many scholars and scientists suggest that the supra-rational forces are to be observed in insights, ideas, and highest level of creativity. So the capacity to move attention smoothly from and in each of these states, or states of mind, is partly the reason of creative success. Clarkson shares with us that idea. Okay, so through electroencephalograms, like Clarkson and many other researchers have done the same. So we can actually see the creator's mind gliding at different rates and rhythms between different states of mind, in fact. So what are those states of mind? The neural activity is actually moving in electrical patterns. And we can observe here the alert state when we're awake. Those are the beta waves with a frequency between 12 and 30 hertz. And you can see that's quite a dynamic movement there. Now, if we go down below the 12, so from 7.5 to 12 hertz, we are in a meditative state. So the meditative state, you're still conscious, of course, but your body is in a very calm condition. Now, if that calm condition stays and goes deeper to a level where there is the border with the theta waves, so we're talking frequency between 4 and 7.5 hertz, where we get into very deep relaxation. This is the REM stage when we sleep and we have dreams. But the border between alpha and theta, so that's particular moment between 7 and 8 hertz is the creative power manifesting. So we are aware, but the body is relaxed, able to access subconscious mind. So that's when we get insights. That's when we get almost revelation. Some people, even scholars have used the word illumination. Now, apart from the electroencephalograms, we have nowadays the technology has equipped us with incredible possibilities in terms of exploration. So the positron emission tomography, the so-called PET, it's a scan and it's an image test that helps to reveal how the tissues and organs are functioning on the brain. So it gives a map. So they've been using a radioactive drag, a tracer, to show these activities. So the people are injected with this radioactive drag, and of course they don't do it all the time, but they've been doing this on thousands of people. And particularly Newberg and Waldman from Pennsylvania University did a very accurate work of studying, and they actually say that these states can be achieved by deep relaxation and meditation. We're talking about the creative element just before. We can permanently alter both the structure and the functioning of the brain. Can you believe that? Yes, it is possible. So we can rewiring the circuits of our brain, and this can be very fast. In fact, they've observed that in 15 days, only take 15 days for neurons to regrow. And after 10 weeks of meditation, the thalamus, which is the midbrain, the central part of the brain, can change its structure by 10%. It can enhance memory, cognition, awareness, compassion, and simultaneously, and I underline this word simultaneously because we get back to that, can suppress the neural mechanism that causes anxiety, depression, fear, anger. Okay, now the true heart of our neurological soul for Wildman, so this scholar at the Pennsylvania University, is actually in the anterior cingulate. And I just guide you through quickly. There are three things we need to keep in mind if we want to understand how this mechanism that we can actually use to improve our life and our creativity and our ability to learn. So the three things are neuroplasticity, and the brain can change itself, refers to that. The amygdala. Now, what is the amygdala? If you look at the picture, there is this, the amygdala it's almost a, I think it's nearly orange, probably you see that very tiny little part in the old brain, in the limbic system. It's got a shape of an almond. I hope I pronounced this properly. The almond, a nut. Yes, the almond. And it can drive you nut. I can tell you that if you lose it, that's your amygdala hijacking. So in its place in the old brain that has supported our survival as a species for the last 150 million years. Strong and fast reaction, really fast, because that's what kept us alive and competitive in the world. So it receives neurochemicals from the thalamus to activate fight or flight response, and I would add the freeze response as well. So this is the system that has been really important for our survival and took us here. But here we are at a different historical moment for our development, really. And in fact, the anterior cingulate is that blue structure. It's a specialization of the neocortex. So the neocortex is right here into your forehead, yes? But the anterior cingulate is placed deep inside. So relatively new brain in human evolution, very sensitive and definitely slower than the limbic system, definitely slower than the amygdala. So what's so special about this part of the brain? It contains von Economo neurons, cells, that are involved in social awareness, crucial for adaptation, for changing conditions, problem solving, creativity, learning. This is our time. Today, we don't live with tigers just around the corner so that we have to react with the amygdala. We need to use our anterior cingulate to face our world today. So it's a very precious knowledge, this one. Now, what is neuroplasticity? The ability of the brain's neurons to create new connections, to compensate injuries, to grow throughout life when and as much needed. Contrary to what it was thought, well, we're going back 50 years almost, but really neuroplasticity is now accepted by whole scientific community as a reality for the last 20 years. Now, what do we want? How do we want to live? Do we want to live going around with stressor, with negative thoughts that activate the amygdala and the limbic system? So we get straight into fight, flight, or a freeze response. And I suppose that image of this man with the smoke coming out of his ears is quite explicit. Or we do have the opportunity to make a choice, a conscious choice, and find tools to, like pranayama, for instance, the breathing techniques, relaxation, big ideas like compassion, like God. Well, Waldman, in one of his interviews, mentioned that God is one of the biggest ideas we could ever create. Apart from the belief systems, it's very important. God can change your brain like any other big idea, like compassion, like peace, like love. Now, we're already here. What's happening? Okay. Okay, so how relaxation and meditation, I'm going back to the title of this webinar, how relaxation and meditation foster creativity to boost the learning process. Now, let's get some practical tips for learning. As I said, relaxation is definitely the tool, but it's so important to understand that you cannot relax if you don't go along with your breath, with your breathing. And any kind of path, any kind of school you're following, any kind of idea of relaxation or study it's definitely related to breathing. So if you want to interfere with your emotions, you have to get hold of your breath and understand how it works and become the owner of yourself. So you, through the breathing techniques, you definitely have that opportunity. And of course, meditation. But this is, meditation is, I would say, the flourishing, the outcome of the relaxation and the breathing technique. So it's, I will never stop repeating that you really need to pay a little bit of attention to your breathing before you get into any kind of relaxation or meditation. So meditation, you can meditate in many different ways. So as I said, big idea, positive, meaningful. They have to be positive and meaningful for you. You can think about love, peace, compassion, gratitude. Gratitude is very powerful. We can all have different belief systems or concepts, religious or not. This is our personal choice, but it has to be positive and meaningful. Now, research shows that learning a foreign language is a creative act, and we can facilitate this process. We've been doing some breathing together, and I would suggest you may try to cultivate that little technique. Maybe you already know a lot of things already, but start with the yawn, start with the reset. Check your spine, body awareness. How do I hold my body? It's relevant, really, it is. Breathe through your nose. No, the nose is important. Start with 6 rounds of that pattern of breathing in from 101 to 106, and you can become a little bit longer. We're going to do one last session now together, and maybe you can reproduce this one. Now recall your big idea. Concentrate at Agya chakra between your eyebrows at the root of your nose. And that's exactly in correspondence of the anterior cingulate, that structure of the new brain. Enjoy with open mind and artistic perspective. Okay, so let's do one last time. Yawn. It's legal, it's free, and takes only 6 seconds. Please try to yawn at least 2 or 3 times. So take a moment. Try to stretch, and as you can see, not only human beings yawn, it's very contagious in many, many animals as well. So give you the time to yawn in a single deep inhalation with the mouth open. Now stretching the muscle of the jaw, the trunk. Okay, and now keep your spine erect, find your ground, feel your sitting bones, and breathe. Close your eyes and listen to your breath. Keep breathing. With your eyes closed, look up at the root of your nose. Between your eyebrows, the tongue is soft. Relax your hips and your shoulders. Feel your lungs inflating and the movement of the intercostal muscles and your diaphragm that relaxes completely and it becomes like a dome when you breathe out. And now let's count. Breathe in on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5, on 6, and hold, hold, hold. And breathe out on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5, on 6, and hold empty for 3, for 2, for 1. Again, breathe in on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5, on 6, and hold for 3, for 2, for 1. Breathe out on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5, on 6. Enjoy the emptiness for 3, for 2, for 1. Again, breathe in on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5, 6 and hold, hold, hold. Exhale for 6, for 5, for 4, for 3, for 1. Stay empty on 1, on 2, on 3. Once more, breathe in on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5, on 6, and hold. 1, on 2, on 3. Breathe out on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5, on 6, and hold. On 1, on 2, on 3. Last one. Breathe in on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5, on 6, and hold for 1, for 2, for 3. Breathe out on 1, on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5, on 6. Stay empty. Enjoy the emptiness. If you want, carry on for another couple of rounds on your own. Count with your own mind. And when you're ready, let's go back to Mentimeter. And let's now give the level of tense or calm. Now the code is still 1126097. And let's see what comes. Oh, fantastic. I love that result. Oh, yes. Seems to be pretty good. And we only did a very little. Now, while this is happening, I want to give you a suggestion, guys. You can use these techniques before coming to lesson if you want to, or when you're doing your homework. And it would be fantastic if you could actually use it, make it habitual, make it become habitual, an habitual thing. So when you need to concentrate, stop from time to time and do your breathing. Start with the yawn and stay with your body. Feel how you're sitting, sense the spine, and start your breathing. And take your big idea. This is so powerful. Find what is your big idea. This is important, particularly if you want to get into a longer sitting for meditation. You need to have a big idea, but also there are techniques that can definitely develop the ability to meditate, which is just an outcome of a number of things you do. You can't just meditate in terms, it's not a verb to meditate. Meditation is something that happens when you create the conditions for that to happen. So there are different types of tools that you can use to develop that capacity. And of course, yoga is providing you with a wide range of possibility there. One of them is Kriya Yoga, where if your mind it's very agitated, needs to be guided. So there are ways to go through. But start with this. Use it for learning Italian, for instance. That'd be fantastic if you come back next time we have a lesson and say, I do my yawning and I do my breathing, and you'll see the results as well. So I hope this has been useful. Let me see if I can do, oh la la, if I can go back to my thing here for the last, oh dear, all right. Okay, let me see, how does it work? I've lost it. Okay, share screen, and we go back to the last thing because I just wanted to thank. Okay, we went through. I wanted to say a big thank you for listening, for yawning together. And I hope this has been useful. And again, if you have questions, if you've been posting questions, I'm going to choose maybe one or two to answer to. And if I promise I'll answer to any question if I will get them. So send them to the Italian Institute of Culture and they'll be forwarded to me. Don't know what's happening now. Kylie, do you see any questions there?
So it looks like you've relaxed everybody so much.
Fantastic. They can post the question later and I can definitely promise an answer.
Yeah, and so we have people saying thank you, that they've really appreciated it, and so that's great to know. And of course, Anastasia works with the Institute regularly, so we would love your feedback to see whether we can work out some other opportunities with Anastasia.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, all the best to everybody. And yes, I leave you with Seneca. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they're difficult. So namaskar, grazie, and all the best again.